So warm welcome everybody to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at a game from the 2016 special exhibition Blitz tournament that was held by the St. Louis Chess Club. It was a serious Blitz tournament. It was $50,000 on the line, $20,000 of first place, and it was only between 4 players. The 3 top finishers in the US Championship, which was Hikaru Nakamura, Wesley So, and Fabiano Cararuna, and Garry Kasparov joined, and the time control was 5 minutes plus 3 seconds of increment, so a serious blitz game. And in the game we see Wesley So begins with knight f3, then we had g6, e4, bishop to g7, d4, and d6. We had the modern defense by Kasparov. Now, before we go any further, may I ask, if you enjoy this video, to please subscribe and leave a like on the video. Trying to get to 100 subs, so thank you very much for your support. So then we had Wesley So went c4. We got bishop g4, bishop e2, knight c6. As we can see, they're both still in book here. And now we get a very sneaky move by Wesley So, by which was knight to b2, knight to d2. So you think, well, hasn't he just hung a pawn? Well, you can pause the video or just contemplate for a moment why he hasn't hung a pawn. Can you see a sequence of moves here? Because this is a very sneaky move, and this is something to keep in mind, a pattern maybe to keep in mind for your own games. Because let's say that Kasparov did take. It's a blunder. Why is it a blunder? Because Wesley So can now take d4 with his knight and f3. And you see, if the bishop takes here, black has left this hanging, which means Wesley So is up a clean piece for a pawn. Or if after Wesley So takes here, and when Kasparov would take with the bishop that was hanging, well, that would enable Wesley So to recapture with that knight. And with this pawn being protected, you see Wesley So's won a piece for a pawn. So a good pattern for us to keep in mind for our games. So instead in the game we saw that Kasparov played e5, then So played d5. We had knight to e7. Now knight to e7 is good because it supports this idea of pushing the pawn to f5. So that's a positive, but the disadvantage is that this knight is now boxed in, which means this knight has to go here or to here. So if he goes here, it stops the attack of the pawn. So just a few somewhat troubling moves here by Kasparov. Then we get h3, trying to kick out the bishop, and the bishop instead jumps back here. And we see now that Wesley So's got this nice little formation where this bishop is effectively dead. It's only got one attacking square, which has already been defended by the queen. So this light squared bishop is in a bad way. Then we get c5, and we get d takes c5, and now Wesley So plays knight to c4, and now he's attacking this pawn that's on e5. So Kasparov plays f6, then we get d6, and basically Wesley So is just trying to open some lines here. It comes down here in the computer as a mistake, and then we get knight c8, bishop e3, now attacking this pawn, so Kasparov decides to go to b6. Then we get castles, bishop to c6 by Kasparov, attacking this pawn now. But first of all, Wesley So takes the c7 pawn, moving the queen to there. And now we see an interesting move by Wesley So. He goes to b4. Now you think, well, he's just given up a pawn here, and that's exactly what Kasparov thought he did, because he just takes. But we see the idea behind it, and ultimately this is kind of principled chess at its best, because Wesley So then brings the rook to the c file, attacking the queen here, x-raying the queen, so putting pressure under Kasparov. So in response we get knight to e7, trying to castle basically, get the knight out of the way and castle. Then we get queen here to b3. Now the b3, the idea of it is it's attacking this pawn and also supporting a pawn push up the a file. Then we get h6, and then we get rook to d1, taking the last open file. Now we get B7 here. Now the idea of B7 is, of course, well, we want to move the knight, and can you see the move here that Wesley So plays? This is, in fact, a brilliant move. Now, why is it a brilliant move? Well, first of all, you got to find the move. So can you find the move? What would you do here? Well, you want to move your knight out. There's no doubt about that because it's under attack. So you can move this 2 spaces here. You could move it here, but it's under attack. So you could also move it here, but you would lose it. So there's only one spot left. Did you notice what it was? It was knight to e5. So knight to e5 is a brilliant move. Now you have to take the knight here because it's attacking here, it's attacking here, and if it takes the bishop, then the knight goes here, but with the rook right there, you've got nothing protecting after the queen, and it puts you in a very uncomfortable position. So you have to take, so Kasparov takes, and then we have, what a move this is, bishop to b5. Now it says it's only a good move. The best move was queen to e6, but again, laying up the pressure here on the queen. And in response, we have rook to b8. Now, what would you do here? This is another good move here. I really like this move because I don't think I would have found it myself. Just very simply moves b to a4 and bishop to a4. Just drops back. Doesn't get scared. And in response, then we have Kasparov goes queen to b7. And then we get rook to c6. Now, why is rook to c6 such an amazing move? Can you see why it's such a brilliant move? This is wonderful chess here. Because after takes, can you see where the queen is going? The queen is going in here. Because ultimately, would you believe, the best move is for the queen to take. Because after queen takes, bishop takes, knight takes, queen check, you can now play the knight back here, and you're getting destroyed anyway, but you're somewhat keeping the glue together. But in the game, after rook took on c6, Kasparov took with the knight, allowing the queen to infiltrate here to e6 with a check. Then we had knight to e7. Then we had bishop to c5. And after rook to c8, can you see the move that Wesley So played here? Wesley So played bishop to e7. And at this point, Kasparov resigned. Why did Kasparov resign? Well, how does the game go from here? It's actually mate in 4, would you believe? So what would you play here? Well, one of the lines is just to take with the queen, but after you take with the queen, you get queen takes rook. And after king to f7, you get bishop to b3 check. And then you've either got queen to e6 check and checkmate, or here you would actually have another move, is king to f6. Then you get queen to c6 check, taking the knight, and after the queen defends, whatever way it happens, you get a checkmate. So really wonderful attacking game by Wesley So that really began with this knight sack here on e5. That's what started the move off. Now the tournament ended with Hikaru winning the tournament on 11 points, ahead of Wesley So and Garry Kasparov, who finished third, a half point behind Wesley So. But Kasparov actually donated his money to the US Olympic team, and Fabiano Cararuna ended up with a 5.5 out of 18, adding to this idea that his blitz is not very strong. But of course, in recent times, he's disproven that to a certain degree. Thank you very much for watching, and please subscribe if you haven't already.